The British Prime Minister condemned rioting sweeping the United Kingdom, saying rioters would be brought to justice as unrest grips the country. Firefighters have been battling wildfires in Albania and Croatia as drought and heat waves result in parts of the countries going up in flames. Israel is already in a multi-front war with Iran and its proxies, according to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He made the comments as the United States and allies prepare to defend Israel from an expected counterstrike, following the assassination of Hamas and Hezbollah leaders.
איראן ועושי דברה מבקשים להקיף אותנו בטבעת חנק של טרור בשבע חזיתות. התוקפנות הגלויה שלהם אינה יודעת שובע, אבל לא אלמן ישראל. אנו נחושים לעמוד מולם בכל חזית, בכל זירה, רחוקה כקרובה. כל מי שרוצח את אזרחינו, כל מי שפוגע במדינתנו, לא ינקה מאחריות. הוא ישלם מחיר כבד מאוד.
As fears of an all-out regional war mount, the French government urged its nationals to leave Lebanon as soon as possible. They could be seen arriving back in Paris airport as the situation becomes more tense.
Ce qui va arriver, donc on préfère rentrer en avance.
C'est une ambiance très toxique, très menaçante. Les médias parlent toujours de choses qui va se passer, une guerre ou une frappe au Liban.
Je suis très inquiète, bien sûr. On ne sait pas du tout qu'est-ce qui va arriver, comment les choses vont évoluer. Et on croise les doigts et on prie.
The UK's Prime Minister has condemned rioting gripping the nation following a stabbing that left 3 children dead. In a statement, Keir Starmer vowed his government would do whatever it takes to bring the rioters to justice following ongoing unrest across parts of the country.
There is no justification, none, for taking this action, and all right-minded people should be condemning this sort of violence. People in this country have a right to be safe. I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery.
Police in the town of Rotherham struggled to hold back rioters attempting to break into a hotel housing asylum seekers. Rioting has seized the UK after a stabbing at a dance class last week that left 3 girls dead. Wildfires are scorching Albania and Croatia as blistering heat grips the continent. Albanian firefighters could be seen battling flames in villages near the capital city of Tirana. Over 300 firefighters and military personnel were supported by a helicopter to control fires in the country's central eastern region. Hundreds of hectares of forests have already gone up in flames. Police have arrested at least 5 people for setting fires and called on hunters to be careful as the country battles a heat wave. High temperatures, winds and weeks of drought have accelerated the spread of wildfires in Albania and other Balkan countries like Croatia, forcing local residents to evacuate. Firefighters have been battling massive blazes in Croatia, which have already consumed hundreds of hectares of pine forest and vegetation. More than 1,200 hectares have already gone up in flames as fire sites ignite across the country. Almost 100 people were killed and hundreds more injured as renewed anti-government protest swept across Bangladesh. Protesters are demanding the Prime Minister resigns following protests last month that began with students calling for an end to a quota system for government jobs. Those demonstrations escalated into violence that left more than 200 dead. As the violence raged, the Prime Minister said the protesters were engaging in sabotage and no longer students but criminals, adding that they would be dealt with iron hands. Yemen's Houthi rebels released footage that they claim shows the wreckage of an American drone they downed. Since Yemen's civil war started in 2014, when the Houthis seized most of the country's north and its capital, the US has lost multiple drones to the rebels. MQ-9 drones, known as Reapers, are unmanned aerial vehicles which can be remotely controlled and cost around $30 million apiece.
Restoring old houses to attract tourism. This is what local people of the central Romanian village of Simon are doing. As more and more people wish to experience life in a traditional home, century-old houses are being refurbished or even moved into more quiet, scenic areas. One of the owners explains what the attraction is all about.
Specificul ăsta creează pentru un turist multă intimitate. Adică, odată intrat pe poartă, ești tu și cu cei cu care ți-ai dorit să vii. O intimitate așa, ca să zic, confortabilă și romantică. Poți să te trezești în pijama să bei cafeaua, dacă ai chef faci un grătar, dacă vrei faci plajă, dacă vrei te plimbi prin grădina care este generoasă și foarte plăcut stai și, eu știu, la povești în șură.
Tourists say why they love this place.
Poate să simți energia locului respectiv.
Ne place foarte mult liniștea și natura e foarte frumoasă.
Many of the owners of the traditional houses are also collectors, keeping pieces of art like ancient irons, cast iron stoves and old kitchen items used by their grandparents. In a place that seems to be cut off from the world, time can almost feel like it has stopped.
In Algeciras in the south of Spain, Fran's life changed completely on a summer day 7 years ago, a day that is impossible to forget.
El 5 de agosto de 2017 explotó un transformador de luz en el hotel donde trabajaba mientras cenábamos y entonces pues me quemé un 75% del cuerpo. Los brazos y las piernas sobre todo, pero también un poco por aquí por la cabeza, las orejas, la espalda y los glúteos un poquito.
When he arrived at the hospital, Fran was given less than 48 hours to live, but today he has recovered thanks to more than a dozen operations and several grafts of his own, as well as artificial skin.
Mira, yo, como he dicho antes, los dos manos y el brazo derecho directamente la cogieron de mi organismo. Era piel sana que yo tenía, entonces esa piel la podían quitar de una parte de mi cuerpo y ponérmela en otro. En ese caso, las dos manos y el brazo derecho fue así. Esta piel es más elástica, o sea, más, tú coges un pellizco y lo puedes coger bien. Sin embargo, esta, que es la cultivada, es como más dura, es como más rígida.
In this hospital in Seville, artificial human skin grafts were authorized to be used for the first time as medicine. David is one of the surgeons who will be in charge of applying it.
El cultivo de queratinocitos se lleva haciendo desde hace 30 años. ¿Vale? La novedad de ahora es que tenemos el permiso de la Agencia Española del Medicamento para usarlo como una terapia más. Y ya bueno, pues a ver que a ciencia cierta tenemos una terapia que funciona. Así que no han dado la autorización. Ya no es experimental, ya es una terapia más.
In the hallways of the major burn unit, they have been working with artificial skin for years and are well aware of the advantages.
Lo principal y lo que siempre tenemos que tener muy en cuenta desde los cuidados de enfermería es el riesgo de infección que tenemos, porque son pacientes que al perder casi la totalidad de la integridad de la piel están muy susceptibles a coger cualquier infección.
Hasta el momento se han fabricado 12 metros cuadrados de piel artificial y todos se han aplicado en pacientes de la unidad de grandes quemados del Hospital Virgen del Rocío. En total, 18 personas que se han beneficiado ya de este tratamiento.
But it has taken years of research to develop the artificial human skin. At the head of that research has been a professor at the University of Granada.
Que siempre nos hemos dedicado pues, a mirar al microscopio cómo son los tejidos naturales de nuestro cuerpo, digo, ahora no solo los vemos para entender el cuerpo humano mejor, sino ahora los fabricamos en el laboratorio para curar. Es un cambio completo en el que estamos muy volcados.
All of this work will help people like Fran feel comfortable in their skin again.
From the hot landscapes of North Africa to the cooler climates of Northern Europe, migratory birds rely on ancient heathlands like these for crucial rest and resources during their journey to breeding grounds. But rising temperatures are challenging these delicate ecosystems. As one vital link in this chain weakens, the next becomes increasingly crucial.
When you've got migratory species, birds in particular, they are travelling huge distances. When you overlay climate to that, at what point do those habitats actually become too hot for both the migratory and the resident species?
Recent data from the Copernicus Climate Change Service has recorded even higher surface temperatures this year compared to last, accompanied by a significant surge in ozone levels this week. With heatwaves currently sweeping across Europe, heathlands in Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany and Britain serve as essential pit stops for these birds. This year's heatwave has led to a concerning 15% decline in some bird populations.
Tree pipit is just about hanging on. If that bird, having made the journey from sub-Saharan Africa, encounters conditions that are not optimal when it arrives, will we see those again? So I think absolute key is for people to work together, the exchange of knowledge as well. But
before Brexit, Neil Lister co-led a European partnership funded by the EU, focusing on cross-border conservation. He's found that maintaining these channels of communication is essential, even in the face of a changing political landscape.
It's always nice to know that that contact is there, the channels of communication are there, and that way of working is not completely lost.
As climate change continues to impact these regions, preserving these critical resting areas and the biodiversity they support remains a key focus for conservationists across Europe. Luke Hanrahan, Euronews, Suffolk.